Anchor is the easiest way to make a podcast. It gives you everything you need in one place for free, which you can use right from your phone or computer. Creation tools allow you to record and edit your podcast so it sounds great. They'll even distribute your podcast for you so it can be heard everywhere: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, and many more. You can easily make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. Awesome, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of It Is What It Is podcast. I'm your host, Cody Kelly. Look, it's a new season, new year. I'm super excited. Got a lot of new things going on. I've done a lot of stuff just on the low. Look, first of all, you got to buy the signature supplement line. If you're into fitness and apparel and sports supplement, this is a Black-owned sports supplement line. How many sports supplement lines can you say that? Shop at cvmkglobal.store, where all your fitness needs are met. Connect with your boy at Instagram, IG at cvmk33, and the business page at cvmk_global. And always subscribe to the YouTube page at CV Space K. I have an amazing episode, another author on a Meet the Author series with a book entitled Street Dreaming. I have none other than Justine Jones. Justin, how you doing today?
Hey, how you doing, man? Nice to meet you.
Man, it's cool to be here, man. Thanks for being on the show. I'm super excited about this. Thanks for responding to, my post. Sometimes when you put it out there, you don't know who's really going to, vibe with it and get back to you. But I appreciate, just the positivity, man. But you wrote this book, right? Street Dreaming, really this homage to rap music, specifically focusing on Nas's album, It Was Written, right? First of all, I always start off and say, what inspires an author to write? Like, why did you take on this initiative?
Well, it was a couple of things for me. One, that's one of my favorite albums of all time. And that's actually the album that got me into rap music. As a kid, it came out. I believe I was like 7 or 8 when it came out. And, I was just addicted to the If I Ruled the World single with Nas and Lauryn Hill. But what actually inspired me to actually do a book on it was I knew it was coming up on the 25th anniversary of the album, 96. So I wanted to, and I felt like that was a unique anniversary. And then also the person who introduced me to the book is a cousin of mine. And he passed away about 2 years ago. He had a bout with Huntington's disease.
Yes.
And when he passed, I was like, I want to do something and like paying like homage to him and, and for inspiring me to, get into like rap music. And also, I had a love for music that kept me out of the streets. I grew up and, when I was able to go to college and do different things like college radio and stuff and do that, but a lot of people that I grew up with didn't have that or take that path.
Right.
So when he passed, I was like, let me, I wanted to do something for him even though he's not here anymore. And then also, so I started writing the book during the pandemic because I had a lot of time on my hands like everybody else did. And I wrote it. It took me about, 9 months or so to really do it or whatever. And that was a big task because I didn't think I didn't know how to start or where to start or whatever, but I did. So
cool. So you covered a lot of ground. And first of all, where are you from, dog? Like, where you said, where are you from, man?
Well, I was born in Chicago.
Hey.
So that's where my roots start. But I was raised in Buffalo. I'm
Okay.
from Buffalo. I claim Buffalo, New York.
Gotcha, New York. Okay, so I'm a Chicagoan. So I was like, man, this is about Chicago for real, man. So this album, It Was Written. So the album itself, where the book is really alluding to and really focusing on. Produced by DJ Premier, Dr. Dre, Havoc. It's his second studio album. I did not know this. This was a fact that I was shocked. It's still his best-selling album of all time. Debuted number 1 in U.S. Billboard 200 charts. and it's certified triple platinum with 2.5 million sold. And it was released the same year that Jay-Z's Reasonable Doubt album came out. And I was like, wow, you know what I'm saying? Like, because I'm a huge Jay-Z fan. So with Nas's album, take me through the process, because you mentioned something. You talked about the laws that were passed that has influenced culture. So take me through that process.
Well, on the book, I touch on a specific law that was passed that influenced the culture. It was the Telecommunications Act that got passed in 1996. It was under the Clinton administration because he was president at the time. And I touch on that in one of the chapters. It influenced not only rap culture, it influenced all of media, really. For anybody that wants to look up that law up, as far as TV, radio, also internet, because internet was becoming big at that. It was going to become big at that time. It was like pretty much the start of it around that time. But the part that I touch on the book is how it allowed for a lot of radio stations to be merged with big corporations. So a lot of local radio stations at the time who would promote like hip hop or local hip hop or whatever, like that changed once that law was passed. Not exactly in that year; it was mainly in the years following, but it allowed for big corporations to buy up smaller radio stations and then influence playlists that would be played like throughout the country. So something like that might seem minor like that to most people, it actually impacted music in particular, in like in a major way, and like within like the next few decades. So.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. It basically opened up the market for smaller players. So, what was considered underground or, non-mainstream became automatically mainstream because they both kind of fed in to that vein. I think it was the first time that minor companies could compete. Like, it kind of removed this or I would say this really presence of a monopoly, right? Because at that time, music was controlled, right? Like, you couldn't just, like, now, if somebody wants to blow up, they release a song, they can put it on like DJ Distro, you could literally like market yourself into stardom. But there was certain channels during that particular time you actually had to go through. So this was kind of like the breakdown of the start of the breakdown. So that's cool. So you talked about 96 was huge because it made hip hop mainstream, right? Like, before, it was just a sub genre, right? By 96, you have Pac, you have Biggie, you have mainstream artists that is getting played on MTV, right? And the whole cultural influence behind that. Tell me, how did that specifically impact you? And then how does it like work itself into your writing?
Well, it impacted me then because that's how I got into rap, like looking at MTV. It was specifically that year or around that time, looking at MTV and BET and VH1 and the music videos and everything like that. Like, that actually had more influence on me than actual radio. Yeah. And it did for like years to come in my growing up or whatever. So that that alone is was big as far as influence, and that was a big year because, like you said, Tupac was around. The Fugees came out that year. Busta Rhymes, Jay-Z, he had came out with the Ain't No record at the same time that summer or whatever. So that's actually one of my favorite years in hip hop because there was so many people. Either they were at the peak of their careers, like LL Cool J, or they were just starting.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's true. So it's crazy. So I agree with you. I think 96 was like an awakening, right? It was so crazy. So, I grew up, in the church. Parents, were ministers and whatnot. So I couldn't like watch BET. Like they wouldn't let me.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So like I would hear about Biggie, Pac through my older cousins, so I would listen to it while, I was with them. The only rapper that I was like allowed to listen to was like Will Smith. No, there's no shade. I'm just saying, like, my mom was like, well, he's clean. I like him. Like I can listen to Hammer. I can listen to, Will Smith.
Okay.
And then, when Biggie and Pac kind of like started to really, take off, despite their demise, their, unfortunate demise, you kind of it just like it created this new like energy behind the music, right? So the first rap album that I buy, back day complete. Want that pump? First workout of the year. New Year's happy 2022 to you. You gotta get Superpower only at cvnkglobal.store. You want to get your baddie on for 2022, you know where to go, cvnkglobal.store. Right? So the first rap album that I buy, so my dad's like, I remember this story very vividly. My dad takes it to the store. Obviously, this is when, they were still selling CDs, and then, the CDs actually had real artwork, right? Like if you bought it, you had the full, album and the lyrics and everything. So it was a real thing to go get music back in the day. And so my brother buys Ready to Die, right? He buys Biggie's album, and then I buy Missy Elliott's album, The Real World, right? Because I was I was hearing, it was like, bro, Nas is on this. I didn't even know who Eminem was. It was like the whole this whole album is fire. So I'm like, the really my first like hip hop experience. And I'm like, this is cool. And then until my mom heard, literally heard Rick and sat there and listened, did like a demo of the CD that I bought. It was funny, but I totally agree with you. I think 1996 shifted a lot of things, and it was a start for a lot of people, right? Like people now that we consider the GOAT really kind of got their start in 1996. Like he was like, oh man, Jay came out, Foxy Brown. I mean, there's a whole host. Master P was really starting to take off, so there was just a lot of just energy and a lot of just influence going on in that particular thing. So you write Street Dreaming. You mentioned, you said it was during the pandemic. You had a lot of, you had time in your hands to really kind of discuss your connection to this piece, discuss your reasons why, and particularly focus on Nas's album and kind of write a essay book. If you could meet Nas, what would you tell him? What as if you think about when it was 1996 or 7, so you and me are around the same age. It sounds like you're a late 80s baby like myself.
Yeah.
You could meet your idol. You could meet Nas, and you could say, "This influenced me." Why?
That's a good question. I wasn't prepared for that one. I think I would say to him, your music saved my life. It kept me out of trouble, kept me out of the streets, and it transcended me to even going to school, going to college, and transitioning out of that and everything, and it opened up my mind that it's cool to to read and that this, that, and the third. So I would tell him, thank you for your music, your art saving my life and everything. And I would tell him that the book or whatever is me basically because it was written as not my favorite Nas album. I got other ones, but it was written as the start of my fandom for the culture in general. So it's basically me giving back to what I feel like has been, was given to me.
So first of all, what is your favorite Nas album?
My favorite Nas. Most people would say Illmatic, but it's actually Godson, because
I know
that's when I was in high school when that was out.
I remember Godson. Godson was so. I remember.
But I think I think Illmatic is like the perfect album. but it's not my favorite album. Godson is like it's my favorite album. Illmatic is the perfect, possibly one of the it is one of the greatest albums of all time. And then you have like It Was Written is also a favorite, but because I was too young to understand it was written, so I grew up and got older. That's one of my second favorite, but Godson is actually my favorite.
Who do you think really embodies Nas's like mantra, right? Like, I think Nas was the perfect blend of consciousness, yet a certain level of connection, to urban America, yet bar wise, Nas would destroy. Like, you really have to listen to Nas, right? Like, and he kind of like where KRS-One was conscious bar, but he didn't have the sound. Yeah, and it's not a diss. It's just that sound was different. Like with Nas, it was a real like Nas had the voice, right? So, in my opinion, I think if there's any rapper out there that has that just kind of drive, it's Kendrick Lamar, right? I think that's the closest you can get to it, right? Who do you think really embodies Nas's kind of flow?
You mean like in today's time?
Yeah.
I think as far as subject matter, it's probably Kendrick Lamar. Yeah. I think as far as like the way he rhymes, it's J. Cole. I think J. Cole is probably that. But subject matter, like the heavy subject matter, is definitely Kendrick Lamar.
Yeah. No, I agree. J. Cole's, yeah. You really the thing about J. Cole's like I had to really listen, sit there and like, okay, play it back.
Yeah.
Okay, play it back again, right? And like, wait a minute, what do you say? Like, he is a artist that literally, if you took the music, you took the beat away, he would be a poet. Like his like that's really what he is. And you have to listen like, wow, did he just, what did he say?
That's why he got the Pulitzer Prize, Kendrick Lamar, because of that. Yeah.
J. Cole is phenomenal, man. I hats off to J. Cole. I think that is what's needed. I would say like if they're this generation that's leading to me the charge of what hip hop should be and could be, it's Kendrick, it's J. Cole, and it's Chance. Jay and Nas is, they're the captains. Like nobody, they're in another level that, it's like if you get to that level, and I mean, you can throw Ye in there, I'll throw Kanye in there, but like they're just in a class by themselves that every now and then they just let you know that they still can rap and they'll throw out something, but they're not. I feel like they're not interested, even though Nas's EPMD album came out, and that was deep. Like the song he had with Eminem.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, right. He burned it, right?
Yeah.
Even though M will shock you. You be like, what? Like Marshall Mathers, man. Like Eminem is still that guy. If you really listen to him, man.
Yeah. Jay and Nas is like I always say they 1A and 1B. Like you can't really have one without the other.
No, I wish they honestly would do a verses. Yeah. And I know they will never do it, but I would just. Because catalog wise, I mean, obviously, like nobody can mess with Jay-Z's catalog because Jay has written more than he's rapped. Like,
he can play just the stuff from the 90s alone.
Yeah,
and it's just you don't even have to go beyond 2000.
No,
and he still wins. Yeah, I touched on Jay-Z a lot in the book too, especially like chapter 2. Because it's important to note, like It Was Written came out with the date it came out. Reasonable Doubt, Jay's first album, came out the week prior.
Mm-hmm.
I was very interested in,
Those two have had a very unique relationship. I mean, they're cool now, but they have had a very unique, and I get it, sometimes it just takes time, right? But what I like about Jay-Z and Nas is that they were always adults. Like that's something that like this generation. I'm not saying it because we got some really cool artists coming up. But we also got some just like why, but I mean they were adults about even when Big Big Pimp and Jay-Z, like it was still he was an adult. It wasn't like you really have to take the full album into consideration before you even kind of go down that trajectory. So you can't, to me, talk about the fullness of anyone without discussing certain negativities that, you know, kind of come about, right? So sometimes when you discuss the darknesses of this truth, you know, that can play out, right? What, and you said something that, you know, really stood out to me. You said, like, it saved my life, you know, like it took me out the street, because I think Nas made like intellectualism, like it wasn't lame, it wasn't, you know, a punk thing. It was something that like every man, every human being should aspire for. Why, and especially at that time, because I feel like Nas kind of got not forgotten about, but when you go, so 96 comes out, and then you go 3 years later, 4 years later, and I call it the Cash Money era, right? And I call it the dark side of hip hop, right? Like, this is when hip hop had no consciousness. It was it was literally just, strip club music only, right? Like, it was just, bling bling, and it was the whole whatever. But that's what was selling. Like, that's what they wanted. And then Nas kind of made like, and I never understood it, like QB's Finest. Like when he did, like when he kind of did that, like that Alias, like it wasn't like Nas-esque. Do you think it was just because the market, the industry demanded for him to kind of make this more, what I would say, commercial based music?
Yeah, and I touch on that a little bit in the book too, because I start off the chapter with the fact that like Illmatic is like this critically acclaimed album, and it's revered so much to the in today's time. Like, it just got into the like the National Recording Registry just like this last year.
Sure.
But at the time, it didn't sell well. It didn't sell. I think it only sold, like, the year it came out, like 50,000, or a little bit more than that. But it didn't sell anything. Not compared to like Biggie's Ready to Die or
Right.
Chronic and Doggy Style and everything. So he was kind of like still on this underground like way of how people viewed him. And when you're in the music business, your career is not going to advance by just having a critically acclaimed album. Like, you can get dropped from your label and everything. So he had to make that transition with the It Was Written album to go mainstream. That was the start of him going mainstream. And then, like you said, a few years later, when music is changing and is going in the clubs or whatever, like, he had to, in order to like maintain his career, he had to basically play that game or whatever. And it was mainly like his radio hits, because he still would drop knowledge on like the albums or whatever, but like the singles, it had to fit in that format of what like MTV and BET had, just like everybody else.
That's true. Like, I saw, and I guess that was weird, because you would see like Nas a single with like, the song with Genuine, right? And you're like, this is so not Nas. It's still catchy though. You listen to it, you be like, this is wild, but it's just not Nas. And then you listen to the album, it's like, this don't even sound like, like the person that made Godson and the person that made like, who is, this kind of flip. But then you watch Jay-Z. It's weird, because like his evolution was like first commercial, and then it started to like go, where Nas, right? Like, so it's almost like an inverse, but that they end up in the same point. It's so weird. We're this kind of thing, man. We're this kind of thing. But like, I got one more question. I appreciate you, Justin, man, being on here, man. You've been a blast. I'm gonna tell the people to go, buy the book and connect with you, man. But look, last question, and I have it written down. So every author, I feel like, shares a piece of them in the story. Like you can feel their essence. When somebody takes pen to pad, it's one of the most vulnerable forms of communication, right? Like you can't, be anything but yourself while writing, right? The stories, the parallels, the connections, that's all stemming from here. What, other than just paying homage and saying, hey, look, Nas, you influenced me as a young black man to really stay out of the streets and do something with yourself and be this positive light in the world and help others and to serve others. What are you really trying to get to? Like, if there's a deeper hidden truth about Justin, right? Like, what does Justin want his audience and his readers to connect with?
Yeah, I would say that I want people to take away that the fact that I listen to music just like everybody else, but my takeaways from it is deeper than just like listen to music just for like to have a good time. Like I take different things like when does a certain song or album come out and the time period that it's in and why is it working or not working and things like that. Like for instance, um an album like Kendrick Lamar's To Pimp a Butterfly that describes the social injustices going on at that particular time when that comes out. It was written is about the commercialization of rap. What I want people to, and really when I wrote the book, I had like young kids coming up, like how I came up. I had that in mind, and I want that to be the takeaway. Like, hey, listen, when you listen to the music or whatever, like you don't necessarily have to. I did it to because I want to inspire people, kids, like how I was inspired by that music.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily have to grow up and rap or make music. You could grow up and write a book about that music, or teach kids different things about hip hop and hip hop's history and stuff like that. Like I pride myself on being like a historian of hip hop and of different artists and different subgenres of that culture. So basically it's me especially young black men, like you go through a lot of different avenues if to get your voice out and to inspire other people just like I would.
Perfect, man. I appreciate it. Y'all connect with Justin, man. You see this brother out here just read a book, Go Cop Street Dreaming. Justin, tell the people where they connect with you, where they can purchase the book, where they can follow you on your social media platforms.
Okay, you can follow me at Essential Vision, ESSENTIALVISION on Instagram. I'm on Instagram a lot. There, I have the link for the book. The book is and also Justine Jones on Facebook. But you can I have the link for the book on Instagram. It's on Amazon.com. It's on paperback, and you can get it on Kindle too. And then I'm working on doing Barnes and Noble, but that's not yet. So that's just Amazon for right now for paperback and Kindle.
Perfect, y'all. Go to Amazon, put in Street Dreaming, go get it, put it on your Prime. Get that thing, get your intellectual just grasp up. Y'all connect with your man, connect with Justin on Instagram and Essential Vision. Follow him, support him. Let him know, brother, I appreciate you. I dig what you're doing. First of all, like I tell anybody, following is free. You don't even cost you anything to follow somebody, but it lets him know, it lets the creator know, like, hey man, I dig it. I'm down, I support. And the ones that are doing this, because when anybody takes the initiative, and I say this as a content creator, right? Or when you're a leader, an entrepreneur, business person, whatever. When you make something, you put something out there, subconsciously you want to protect it, right? Because that's yours. But you want people to, hear you out and to really feed off of it and see what you're providing. And it's some good stuff. Y'all connect with Justin. And as always, if you want to keep seeing amazing influencers, amazing strategists, leaders, authors, all around, just amazing people. You know what you got to do. Follow your man on Instagram at CVMK33 and the business page at CVMK_global. Hit up the store, the supplement store, fitness apparel, CVMKglobal.store, and subscribe to the YouTube page at CV Space K. I appreciate you guys. Justin, thank you so much. And until next time, guys, thanks.
There's a hero in all of us waiting to be unleashed. All it takes is just that one last push. Activate the hero within with CVMK Global Supplements. All natural, steroid-free, designed to enhance performance, build muscle, and increase energy. You are unstoppable. You can do this. Become your own hero at www.cvmkglobal.store.